Let's dive in. It's been 5 days since the end of the 2026 legislative session, which will go down in history as the session when majority Democrats passed an income tax that Republicans argue is unconstitutional and will eventually be a tax on everyone's income. They That's their take on things. So today, there have been social media posts I can't even keep up on from the business community and folks saying, that's it, we're out of here. So, headline in the Seattle Times, you can see here indicating that new office space in Nashville, Starbucks is moving into. They said they're only moving a few executives, but this office space apparently has enough space for thousands, potentially holding up to 2,000 employees. So, why get a space for thousands of workers if you're not planning to fill it up? Curious. Plenty of questions there. And this morning, I had a chance to interview Senator Perry Dozier, whose district includes Walla Walla. He's a wheat farmer in Waitsburg. So he's very concerned about impacts from the millionaire's tax. Again, to remind you, if you're not aware, the state legislature passed an income tax, Senate Bill 6346, on income in excess of $1 million. So you're taxed 9.9% on income above $1 million. So if you make 1.2, $1.3 million, you're taxed on that 200 or $300,000 in excess of the $1 million that you make annually for the state of Washington. It is, according to opponents, unconstitutional because income in the state of Washington is, your income is your property, and property in the state of Washington has to be taxed at a uniform rate so that everyone would have to pay the same rate. So their opponents say you must pass this constitutional amendment if we're going to do this. At this point, it's moving forward regardless of any amendment to the Constitution. So this morning, this conversation with Senator Perry Dozier, as I mentioned, he's a wheat farmer in Waitsburg, so he may or may not be impacted by this. If they've got a good year in farming, you might be subjected to the income tax. Bad year, maybe not so much. He's very concerned about the impact on small business owners and on the egg community in the state of Washington. So here is part of that conversation I had today with Senator Perry Dozier.
When the governor signs this income tax bill, are things going to be better for you tomorrow? No, they're not. Your cost of living isn't going down. Your cost of in living in Washington state will continue to rise. This is just, in my opinion, a litmus test to see if we can get a state income tax by a few years. If you're not going to implement it till 2028 or 2029, that's because we got to see if we can actually get it through the Supreme Court. And none of these tax reliefs actually come till that time too. So this is just again, it's a smoke and mirrors that your life is going to be better because now the wealthy are going to pay more. I've been in farming my entire life, and basically, when costs increase in whether it's for fertilizer elsewhere, if it's bought by the supplier and everything, those get passed down. I think we really saw a good example of that with the Climate Commitment Act because even though it's been raising the cost of our fuel. Obviously, everything that gets delivered to grocery stores, to department stores, comes in on vehicles that are buying that fuel. It gets moved down to the those of us that can't, absorb those costs, and we just pay more and more and more for it to offset the higher cost of delivering that.
I saw another post today on X from Rise Baking in Kent, said they're laying off their employees and closing up shop. They did not specifically say the income tax passage in Washington state or other taxes passed in recent years are to blame, but that certainly could be the case. So we'll be following that.